Sterile millionaire expels boy from the tombstone of his deceased wife of 20 years and discovers that he is his son. Before we dive into the story, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Enjoy the story. The Boston skyline glittered outside Gregory Maddox's penthouse windows, each light representing lives being lived while his remained, frozen in time. He stood alone, tumbler of whiskey untouched, staring at the headline on his tablet. Elizabeth Palmer, beloved community nurse, dies at 48. 20 years. 20 years since he'd seen her face, heard her voice. 20 years since he'd ordered her out of his life with cruel, unequivocal finality. His finger hovered over her photograph, still beautiful, though lines of hard-won wisdom now framed her eyes. Eyes that had once looked at him with love, then with pleading and finally with a dignity that had haunted him through 2 decades of empty success. "Sir?" Margaret appeared in the doorway, his executive assistant of 30 years, perhaps the only person who'd stayed. "Your conference call with Tokyo begins in 5 minutes. Gregory set down the tablet. "Cancel it. Cancel everything for the next few days." Margaret's carefully neutral expression slipped. In 30 years, Gregory Maddox had never canceled a meeting. "May I ask why, sir?" "I'm going to Philadelphia," he said, the decision forming as he spoke. "I need to. Pay my respects." The cemetery sprawled across gently rolling hills, ancient, oaks providing shelter from the light drizzle. Gregory's driver had offered an umbrella, but he declined. The rain felt appropriate. He found her grave easily. Fresh flowers indicated a recent funeral. Simple, elegant, understated. Like her. The headstone read, "Elizabeth Palmer, 1977 to 2025, beloved mother, healer of bodies and hearts." Mother. The word lanced through him like physical pain. "You shouldn't be here." Gregory turned to face a young man, perhaps 19, with rain-dampened dark hair and eyes burning with something between grief and fury. The boy's hands were clenched at his sides. "I have every right," Gregory replied, defaulting to the authoritative tone that intimidated boardrooms worldwide. "Right?" The young man laughed bitterly. "You lost any right to be near her when you threw her out like garbage." Gregory's breath caught. "Who are you? Who do you think I am?" The boy's hand went unconsciously to a silver chain around his neck, pulling a pendant from beneath his shirt. Gregory saw the name engraved on it. Noah Maddox. The world seemed to tilt beneath Gregory's feet. That's not possible. "The doctor said I couldn't." "Well, they were wrong," Noah cut him off. "Mom never lied. She named me Maddox even though you discarded us both. Said it was my heritage, whether you acknowledged it or not." Gregory stared at the young man's face, really seeing it now. Elizabeth's dark hair and determined chin, but unmistakably his own eyes, his father's patrician nose. The evidence had been there all along in features he saw in the mirror daily. "Noah," he whispered, the name foreign on his tongue. "I didn't know. I truly didn't." "Save it," Noah said, stepping back. "She's gone. Your money's useless now. 20 years too late, Mr. Maddox." As Noah turned to leave, Gregory reached out instinctively, then stopped himself. What right did he have to ask anything of this boy? But something made him speak anyway. "Please, just 1 minute. I've just found out I have a son." Noah froze. "And I've just lost the only parent I've ever had. Funny how timing works." Noah's hands trembled as he unlocked the door to his apartment. The encounter at the cemetery had left him shaken to his core. He'd imagined meeting his father countless times, rehearsed what he might say, but nothing had prepared him for the reality of standing face to face with Gregory Maddox. The apartment was small but tidy, a testament to his mother's influence. She'd taught him that dignity didn't require wealth, just self-respect. The scholarship to Penn Medical School covered tuition but little else. Between classes and hospital rotations, Noah worked evenings at a campus cafe to afford this place. "Hey, you're back early." Jason appeared from their shared kitchen, a sandwich in hand. "Thought you'd be at the cemetery longer." Noah dropped onto the worn couch, head in his hands. He was there. "Who?" "My father, Gregory Maddox. Jason nearly choked. The Gregory Maddox? Maddox Tech billionaire? The same. Noah rubbed his temples. 20 years of nothing. Then he shows up at her funeral like he has some right to grieve. Jason set down his sandwich, all attention on his roommate. What did he want? I don't know. I didn't give him a chance to explain. Noah pulled out the silver pendant his mother had given him on his 16th birthday. He saw this, the look on his face like he'd seen a ghost. What are you going to do? Noah stared at a framed photo of his mother, Elizabeth in her nurse's scrubs, arm around a 12-year-old Noah at his science fair. Her smile radiated the quiet strength that had defined her. Nothing. He doesn't get to waltz in now that she's gone. Later that night, Noah couldn't sleep. He slipped out of bed and retrieved a worn shoebox from his closet. Inside were his mother's journals, her gift to him before she died, along with a letter asking him to read them only after she was gone. He'd been avoiding them, but tonight, he needed her wisdom. The earliest journal entry was dated 20 years ago. Left Boston today. Gregory believes I betrayed him. The doctor told him he couldn't father children, so he assumes I've been unfaithful. How can I make him understand? This baby is our miracle? His face when I told him. I didn't recognize the man I married. The check he offered sits torn in pieces. I won't take his money. Our child deserves better than to be bought off and forgotten. Noah wiped away tears, turning pages. Another entry. 6 months later. Noah Alexander Maddox born today. 7 lollies 2 of perfection. He has Gregory's eyes clear blue and intense. I've decided to give him the Maddox name. Someday he might want to know his father, and I won't let my pride stand in his way. I'm terrified, but determined. We'll make it, my little lion and I. A knock at the door startled Noah from his reading. He checked his watch. 2:17 a.m. Who would be here at this hour? Through the peephole, he saw Gregory Maddox, looking less like a billionaire and more like a lost man. Noah almost walked away, but something in the man's defeated posture made him hesitate. He opened the door partway. It's the middle of the night. I know. I'm sorry. Gregory looked exhausted. I couldn't leave things as they were. I had to see you again. How did you find me? Gregory looked sheepish. I have resources. Of course you do. Noah's tone was bitter. Please, 5 minutes, then I'll go if you want. Against his better judgment, Noah stepped aside. Gregory entered cautiously, taking in the modest apartment with something like wonder. Your mother, Gregory said softly. She did well by you. She did everything for me, Noah corrected, without any help from you. Gregory nodded, accepting the rebuke. I deserve that. I've deserved it for 20 years. He reached into his pocket, withdrawing a business card. I'm staying at the Four Seasons. If you ever want to talk. My private number is on the back. Noah took the card reluctantly. That's your 5 minutes. At the door, Gregory paused. I made the biggest mistake of my life when I didn't believe your mother. I can't undo that. But I want you to know, I'm not leaving Philadelphia until you decide what happens next. After Gregory left, Noah returned to his mother's journals, searching for guidance in her words that spanned his entire life. Gregory's suite at the Four Seasons felt cavernous and cold despite its luxury. He'd barely slept. The image of Noah, his son, burned into his consciousness. Those eyes, his own eyes looking back at him with such hurt and anger. His phone rang. Margaret, as always. The board is asking questions, she said without preamble. Your sudden departure has investors nervous. Handle it, Gregory replied, his tone lacking its usual sharp edge. Family emergency. A pause. Family? Sir, you don't have... I have a son, Margaret. The silence stretched so long he checked to see if the call had dropped. Elizabeth's child, Margaret finally said. Not a question. You knew? Gregory felt a surge of betrayal. I suspected. She never confirmed it. Margaret's voice softened. She called once about 6 months after she left. Asked if you were well, nothing more. Gregory sank into a chair, suddenly breathless. She never tried to contact me again? No. But every year on your birthday, the office received a card with no return address. Just your initials inside. Another pause. I never told you because you forbade her name being mentioned. Gregory closed his eyes, the weight of 20 years of willful ignorance crushing him. I need you in Philadelphia. Bring the Macmillan file. The Medical Research Foundation? Yes. It's time we put it to use. After hanging up, Gregory opened his laptop to a file labeled Palmer E. The private investigator's report was comprehensive. Elizabeth's nursing career, her community work, volunteer hours at free clinics, PTA involvement. Photos of Noah through the years, elementary school awards, high school graduation as valedictorian, acceptance to Penn Medical School. She'd done it all alone, while he'd built an empire on the assumption she'd betrayed him. The truth was both simpler and more miraculous. The doctors had been wrong. It happened sometimes. Medical mysteries that defied explanation. Elizabeth had been faithful, and he'd been a fool. A knock interrupted his thoughts. He opened the door to find a middle-aged woman with stern features and a medical ID badge. Mr. Maddox? I'm Sarah Winters. We need to talk about Noah. Gregory recognized the name from the investigator's report, Elizabeth's best friend, colleague, and Noah's godmother. Please, come in. He stepped aside, bracing himself. Sarah surveyed the suite with undisguised contempt for its opulence. Elizabeth died of a heart condition that went undiagnosed until it was too late. She refused to slow down even when she started having symptoms. Too many people depended on her. Gregory absorbed this like a physical blow. I'm sorry, I didn't. No, you didn't know because you chose not to, Sarah cut him off. I'm not here to ease your conscience. I'm here because Noah is all I have left of my best friend, and your sudden appearance has thrown him into turmoil. What can I do? Gregory asked, humbled by this woman's fierce loyalty. Stay away unless he reaches out, Sarah replied. And, if he does give you a chance, understand that it's not for your benefit. It's because Elizabeth raised him to be a better person than either of us would be in his position. She placed a small, worn photo album on the coffee table. These are duplicates of photos Elizabeth kept. Noah has the originals. If you truly want to know your son, start by learning who his mother was after you discarded her. After Sarah left, Gregory sat motionless before opening the album. The first photo showed Elizabeth, visibly pregnant, standing outside a small apartment building. Her smile was determined despite the fatigue evident in her eyes. Another showed an infant Noah sleeping in a makeshift crib that appeared to be a dresser drawer lined with blankets. Page after page documented a life built from nothing but love and perseverance. Gregory's vision blurred as 20 years of absent fatherhood confronted him in these small, precious moments he'd forsaken. His phone chimed with a text message. Unknown number. Medical school cafeteria. 1 p.m. tomorrow. One chance. The medical school cafeteria buzzed with activity as Noah watched the door. He'd arrived early, securing a corner table that offered both privacy and a clear view of the entrance. His morning rotation at Children's Hospital had been grueling, a 7-year-old with leukemia who reminded him too much of himself at that age, brave in the face of circumstances beyond his control. Gregory Maddox arrived precisely at 1 p.m., instantly recognizable despite his attempt at casual dress. Heads turned as the billionaire navigated the cafeteria, his discomfort in this ordinary setting almost palpable. You came, Noah said, as Gregory took the seat across from him. I would have crawled here if necessary. Gregory's voice was rough, with emotion. Thank you for this opportunity. Noah pushed a coffee toward him. I have an hour before I need to be back at the hospital. Gregory nodded, seeming unsure where to begin. I've been looking at photos of you growing up. Sarah Winters brought them. Aunt Sarah came to see you? Noah was surprised. She despises you. With good reason. Gregory acknowledged. She loves you very much. She helped raise me. Mom worked double shifts when I was young. Noah stirred his coffee. We lived in her spare room until Mom saved enough for our first apartment. Gregory's face tightened with pain. The investigator's report mentioned that. You were 5 when Elizabeth put a down payment on that little place in South Philly. Noah's eyes narrowed. You had us investigated? I needed to understand what I'd missed. Gregory hesitated. What I'd thrown away. A tense silence fell between them. Noah broke it, his voice controlled. Why now? Mom's gone. If you felt such remorse, why wait until she couldn't benefit from your sudden attack of conscience? Gregory looked down at his untouched coffee. I didn't know. About you. About her life. I convinced myself the story I'd constructed was the truth, that she'd betrayed me, that the pregnancy was someone else's responsibility. Because doctors told you that you couldn't have children, Noah finished. Mom explained that part. What else did she tell you about me? That you were brilliant, driven, that you'd had a difficult childhood that made it hard for you to trust? Noah's mouth twisted. She made excuses for you, even while working herself to exhaustion to provide for me. Gregory seemed to age before Noah's eyes. She was extraordinary. I didn't deserve her. No, you didn't. Noah agreed coldly. There's something you should know, Gregory said after a moment. Something I haven't told anyone yet. He drew a deep breath. I'm dying. Noah's medical training kicked in, his eyes automatically assessing Gregory's pallor, the slight yellowish tint to his sclera, the weight loss evident in his collar. Pancreatic? Gregory looked surprised. Stage 4. How did you... I'm in medical school, Noah reminded him. How long? 3 to 6 months. Gregory's tone was matter-of-fact. I found out 2 weeks before I saw the news about Elizabeth. Noah absorbed this information, his emotions conflicted. This man was both a stranger and his father, both villain and victim in his mother's story, and now a terminal patient. Is that why you sought me out? A deathbed attempt to clear your conscience? I sought you out because I needed to know if there was any truth to the possibility I'd dismissed 20 years ago. Gregory met Noah's gaze directly. Finding out that I have a son like you, is the greatest gift I don't deserve. The cancer is incidental. Noah checked his watch. I need to go. He stood, gathering his bag. Will I see you again? Gregory's question held no demand, only hope. Noah paused, thinking of his mother's journals, her words echoing. I hope someday Noah can know his father, not as the man who rejected us, but as the man he might become. Saturday, Noah said finally. There's a bench by Mom's grave. Noon. Gregory nodded, relief washing over his features. I'll be there. As Noah walked away, his pager beeped. The leukemia patient's numbers were dropping. He quickened his pace, his mind torn between the child who needed him now and the father he'd never had, both running out of time for very different reasons. Saturday arrived with a gentle spring rain. Gregory stood at Elizabeth's grave long before noon, sheltered under a black umbrella. He'd brought white lilies. He remembered how she'd once loved them. The cemetery was peaceful, rain pattering softly against leaves and stone. He'd arranged for the gravesite to be well maintained, an anonymous donation ensuring fresh flowers weekly. Too little, too late. You're early. Gregory turned to find Noah approaching, medical textbook tucked under his jacket to shield it from rain. I wanted time with her first, Gregory said. To apologize. Noah's expression remained unreadable as he stopped beside him. They stood in silence, rain creating a private curtain around them. I used to come here every Sunday with Mom. Noah finally said. When I was little, I thought it was just a walking trip. Later, I realized she was visiting her patients who had passed. She knew all their stories. Gregory listened, hungry for these glimpses into their life. She kept a memory book, Noah continued. Names, photos, little stories about each person she'd cared for. said that remembering people properly was its own kind of medicine. She always had extraordinary empathy, Gregory murmured. Noah looked at him sharply. Did she? Or did you just never try to understand it? Gregory accepted the rebuke. Both, perhaps. I admired her compassion but couldn't comprehend it. My father taught me compassion was weakness. Tell me about him, Noah said unexpectedly. Gregory hesitated. He rarely spoke of his childhood. Charles Maddox was a self-made man who believed strength came from isolation. Trust no one, need no one was his mantra. His voice hardened. He beat that lesson into me often enough. Noah's clinical gaze took in this information. And your mother? She left when I was 7. Couldn't take his temper anymore. Gregory stared at the rain-slicked grave marker. He told me she died. I believed him until I was 30 and found her living in Arizona with a new family. Did you contact her? No. The rain seemed to grow colder. By then I'd become too much like him. They moved to a sheltered bench nearby. Noah opened his bag, retrieving a thermos. Mom always brought hot chocolate on rainy days. He poured some into the cap, offering it to Gregory. The simple gesture nearly undid him. Gregory accepted it with unsteady hands. The 7-year-old from the hospital, Noah said after a moment. Emma, she died yesterday. Gregory saw the grief in his son's eyes. I'm sorry. She wanted to be an astronaut. Noah's voice was distant. We had her room decorated with stars and planets. Mom used to do that. Find ways to keep kids' dreams alive even in the hospital. Gregory thought of the Macmillan file waiting in his hotel room. Perhaps there was a way. Why medicine? He asked. With your grades, you could have done anything. Noah took the thermos cap back, refilling it for himself. Growing up, I saw Mom helping people through their worst moments, making a difference when it mattered most. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Besides, I was always the kid with the detailed dinosaur books who knew all the scientific names. Gregory recognized himself in that detail, his own childhood fascination with precise knowledge. You look like her when you smile, he observed softly. Noah's smile faded. Everyone says I have your eyes. You have her heart, Gregory countered. That's far more valuable. The rain began to ease, sunlight filtering through clouds. Noah checked his watch. I should go. I have a study group. Gregory nodded, disappointed but grateful for even this brief time. Thank you for coming. As Noah gathered his things, he hesitated. There's a small coffee shop near the hospital. Emma's parents own it. They're holding a memorial Tuesday evening. He met Gregory's gaze. If you want to understand what Mom taught me, what matters to me, you could come. The invitation hung between them, fragile as morning mist. I'd be honored, Gregory said simply. Noah nodded once, then walked away, leaving Gregory with the lilies, the rain, and the first real hope he'd felt in 20 years. Celestial Beans Cafe was transformed for Emma's memorial. Star-shaped paper lanterns hung from the ceiling, and photos of the little girl adorned the walls. Emma in a NASA t-shirt, Emma with hospital staff, Emma laughing despite the IV in her arm. Gregory arrived exactly on time, feeling conspicuously out of place. He'd dressed simply, no designer labels, no luxury watch, but still felt the curious glances as he entered. Noah stood across the room, talking quietly with a couple Gregory assumed were Emma's parents. Noah caught his eye and nodded slightly, in acknowledgement. A young woman approached Gregory with a paper star. Would you like to write a message for Emma? We're sending them up in sky lanterns later. I didn't know her, Gregory admitted. The woman smiled gently. That's okay. Many here are hospital staff or supporters. Just write what's in your heart. Gregory accepted the star and a marker, finding a quiet corner. What could he possibly write that wouldn't seem hollow? After a moment's thought, he penned, May you explore the stars you dreamed of. They're lucky to have you. He watched as Noah moved through the gathering, comforting parents, sharing memories with colleagues, completely at ease in this community of grief and remembrance. His son belonged here in a way Gregory had never belonged anywhere. He's extraordinary with the families, Sarah Winters appeared beside him, her expression less hostile than at their first meeting. Just like Elizabeth was. I can see that, Gregory said quietly. Sarah studied him. Why are you really here, Maddox? What do you hope to accomplish before you die? The directness startled him. Noah told you. Of course he did. I'm his family. The implied, and you're not hung unspoken. Gregory considered his answer carefully. I don't expect forgiveness or acceptance. I just want to know him even briefly, to understand the remarkable person he became without my help. Sarah's expression softened marginally. Elizabeth would have wanted that for him, even if I don't think you deserve it. The memorial service began, not somber but joyful, celebrating Emma's short life. Her father spoke of her determination. Her mother shared funny stories that had the room both laughing and crying. When Noah stood to speak, Gregory found himself holding his breath. Emma asked me once if heaven had the best view of the stars, Noah began. I told her astronauts had pretty great views too, and she decided then that she'd become one. His voice remained steady, though emotion shimmered beneath. What Emma taught me, what all my young patients teach me, is that hope isn't about denying reality. It's about finding meaning within it. Gregory felt the words resonate within him. Wasn't that what he'd failed to do 20 years ago? Find meaning in an unexpected reality rather than rejecting it outright? After the speeches, the gathering moved outside. Paper lanterns were lit, carrying messages to the stars where Emma now dwelled, at least in the hearts of those who loved. Her Gregory hung back until Noah approached, hands in pockets. Thank you for coming, Noah said simply. Thank you for inviting me. Gregory hesitated. Noah, there's something I'd like to discuss with you. A project I've been considering. Noah raised an eyebrow. What kind of project? The Macmillan Foundation. It's something I established years ago but never activated. I'd like to endow a children's cancer research initiative, with a special focus on treatments that preserve quality of life. Noah studied him skeptically. And you're telling me this because I'd like your input, Gregory replied. If you're willing. Your perspective as both a medical student and someone who's worked directly with these children would be invaluable. Before Noah could respond, Emma's mother approached. Noah, sweetie, thank you for everything. She embraced him, then turned to Gregory. And thank you for coming. Are you Noah's? This is my father, Noah said after a brief hesitation. Gregory Maddox. It was the first time Noah had acknowledged their relationship to anyone else. Gregory felt the weight of those simple words like a physical force. Margaret mentioned you'd be staying in Philadelphia indefinitely, Noah said later as they walked toward the parking lot. Is that because of your treatment, or? Both, Gregory admitted. Treatment options are excellent here, but mostly I want to be near you if that's acceptable. Noah was quiet for a long moment. Mom's birthday is next Thursday. I usually take flowers in the morning before my shift. He met Gregory's gaze. You could join me if you'd like. Bring lilies again. She really did love them. As Noah walked away toward the bus stop, Gregory remained motionless, overcome by a feeling he'd long forgotten: hope. Elizabeth's birthday dawned with perfect spring sunshine. Gregory arrived at the cemetery early, arranging a bouquet of lilies and wildflowers beside the headstone. She loved wildflowers too, he explained when Noah arrived. We once took a weekend trip to a meadow upstate. She knew the name of every flower. Noah nodded, placing his own arrangement, daisies in a mason jar. These grew on our apartment balcony. She said they were determined, just like us. They stood in companionable silence until Noah spoke. I brought something. He reached into his messenger bag, retrieving a leather-bound journal. After you left that night, I kept reading her journals. I found entries I think you should see. Gregory accepted the journal with reverent hands. Are you sure? She wrote them knowing I'd read them someday. There are parts about you she wanted me to understand. Gregory opened to the marked page, Elizabeth's elegant handwriting filling the space. Noah asked about his father again today. He's 7 now. too old for simple answers. I told him his father was a brilliant man who helped build the skyline of Boston. Noah asked if his father didn't love us enough to stay. How do I explain that Gregory's rejection wasn't about love but fear? That sometimes the people most afraid of being abandoned become the ones who abandon first? Gregory's hand trembled. He turned the page. I saw Gregory on the cover of Business Weekly today. He's built the empire he always dreamed of. I wonder if it's enough. I wonder if he ever thinks of the life we might have had. Noah has his focused intensity, the way his brow furrows when he's concentrating. Sometimes it takes my breath away. The last entry Noah had marked was from just months before Elizabeth's death. My cardiologist doesn't like the latest test results. I haven't told Noah. He has enough pressure with medical school. If something happens to me, I hope he'll eventually seek out Gregory, not for money or connections, but because everyone deserves to know where they come from. I've never regretted loving Gregory, even when it broke my heart. That love gave me Noah, the greatest gift of my life. Gregory closed the journal, eyes burning with unshed tears. She knew she was sick. She didn't tell me how serious it was, Noah confirmed. I was angry about that at first. Now I understand she was protecting me, like always. A groundskeeper passed by, nodding respectfully before continuing on his rounds. I've been thinking about your foundation proposal, Noah said, changing the subject. It's a good idea, but you're worried it's just a vanity project to ease my conscience, Gregory finished. Noah shrugged. Something like that. Fair concern. Gregory paused, choosing his words carefully. What if we named it for Elizabeth? Not the Maddox Foundation, but the Elizabeth Palmer Memorial Foundation for Pediatric Research. Noah considered this. She'd like that, especially if it focused on making treatment easier for the kids, not just extending life at any cost. Quality of life, not just quantity, Gregory agreed. She always understood that distinction better than most. A notification chimed on Noah's phone. I have rounds in an hour. Of course. Gregory handed back the journal. Thank you for sharing this with me. Noah hesitated before asking, how are your treatments going? The question caught Gregory off guard. As well as can be expected, chemo on Mondays and Wednesdays, mostly just tired. You're at Pennsylvania Hospital? Gregory nodded. I'm rotating through oncology next month, Noah said casually. I might see you there. Gregory recognized the offer hidden in those words, Noah extending a tentative bridge across the chasm between them. Margaret's been staying at the hotel, Gregory mentioned. She'd like to meet you properly. Perhaps dinner sometime? Maybe. Noah adjusts his bag. Take care of yourself, hydrate on chemo days, protein helps with the fatigue. As Noah walked away, Gregory remained by Elizabeth's grave, the journal's words echoing in his mind. Elizabeth had understood him better than he'd understood himself. She'd seen through his rejection to the fear beneath it. You raised an extraordinary son, he whispered to the headstone. I'm only beginning to comprehend what I threw away. He placed his hand on the sun-warmed stone, feeling strangely as though Elizabeth herself had offered him absolution he didn't deserve, and a second chance he was determined not to waste. The oncology ward was unnervingly quiet when Noah entered. For his first day of rotation. Morning rounds wouldn't begin for another hour, but he'd arrived early, drawn by the knowledge that his father was scheduled for treatment. He found Gregory in a private room, hooked to an IV drip, a tablet computer, on his lap. Even diminished by illness, he possessed an aura of authority. Your nurse said you refused anti-nausea medication, Noah said by way of greeting. Gregory looked up, surprise quickly replaced by a small smile. It makes me too drowsy to work. Typical. Noah checked the IV bag. Comfort is secondary to productivity? Old habits, Gregory admitted, setting aside his tablet. I didn't expect to see you today. I'm observing Dr. Chen this month. Noah hesitated. And I wanted to see how you're doing. Gregory's eyes softened. Better now. An uncomfortable silence settled between them. Noah broke it by gesturing to the tablet. Important business? Foundation paperwork. The lawyers have preliminary documents for the Elizabeth Palmer Memorial Foundation. Gregory's voice held quiet pride. I've allocated an initial endowment of $50 million. Noah blinked, the figure momentarily incomprehensible. That's substantial. It's a start, Gregory said. The focus will be on research that improves pediatric cancer treatments with an emphasis on preserving childhood during treatment, play therapies, psychological support, family assistance programs. Noah recognized the elements he'd mentioned during their conversations. Gregory had been listening, truly listening. I'd like you on the board, Gregory continued. Your perspective would be invaluable. I'm still a medical student, Noah reminded him. Who better to help shape a foundation that will serve the next generation of patients, Gregory countered. Besides, you'll be Dr. Maddox by the time the major grants are distributed. Noah flinched slightly. Bennett, I'll be Dr. Bennett. Gregory's face fell. Of course, I apologize. Noah immediately regretted his sharpness. I've always been Noah Bennett. It's who Mom raised me to be. She gave you my name too, Gregory said quietly. In her journal, she said, I know what she said. Noah interrupted. She wanted me to have options, but I need to earn my accomplishments. As myself, not as a Maddox. Gregory nodded slowly. I understand. More than you might think. Before Noah could respond, a nurse entered to check Gregory's vitals. Your son is studying to be a doctor? She asked, smiling at Noah. The question hung awkwardly in the air. Yes, Gregory answered simply, watching Noah carefully. He's going to be an exceptional one. The nurse finished her checks and left them alone again. Jason, my roommate, wants to meet you, Noah said, changing the subject. He's curious about the mysterious father who suddenly appeared. I'd like that, Gregory replied, visibly touched by the invitation. Noah noticed Gregory's pallor and the slight tremor in his hands, side effects of the treatment intensifying. You should take the anti-nausea medication, he advised. The foundation will survive if you take a day off. I've taken too many days off already, Gregory murmured, his gaze distant. 20 years of them. The naked regret in his voice caught Noah off guard. He'd been prepared for a businessman's calculated approach to redemption, not this raw, unvarnished remorse. I need to join rounds, Noah said, checking his watch. But I could stop by after my shift. Bring dinner, maybe. I'd like that, Gregory said again, this time with a hint of wonder in his voice. As Noah turned to leave, Gregory called after him. Noah, thank you. For what? For seeing me as I am now, not just as the man who abandoned you. Noah paused in the doorway. Mom's journals helped with that. She saw good in you even when you couldn't see it in yourself. Later, as Noah followed, Dr. Chen from room to room, his thoughts kept returning to Gregory. Not the powerful billionaire from magazine covers, but the weakened man fighting cancer while trying to build bridges across decades of absence. He texted Jason, having dinner with my father tonight. Join us? Jason's reply came quickly. Wouldn't miss it. Should I call him Mr. Maddox or Gregory or the sperm donor who finally showed up? Despite himself, Noah smiled. Just Gregory is fine. And be nice. He's dying. Jason's response was more serious. I know. That's why I'll behave. Mostly. Gregory's hotel suite had been transformed into an impromptu dining room. Margaret had arranged for a catered meal. Nothing ostentatious, just comfort food served on the suite's dining table. Mr. Bennett and Mr. Maya. Chen, she announced as Noah and Jason arrived. Her professional demeanor couldn't quite hide her curiosity about Noah. Just Noah, please, he insisted, offering his hand. And this is my roommate, Jason. Margaret has been my right hand for 30 years, Gregory explained, emerging from the bedroom. He moved slowly, the day's treatment clearly taking its toll. Longer than you've been alive, Margaret noted, studying Noah's face. The resemblance is remarkable. Mom always said I had his eyes, Noah acknowledged uncomfortably. And Elizabeth's compassion, Gregory added softly. Please, sit. Dinner began awkwardly. Jason, normally talkative, seemed uncharacteristically restrained. Margaret maintained professional efficiency, while Gregory watched Noah with undisguised wonder. So, Jason finally broke the silence. When did you realize you'd made the biggest mistake of your life? Jason. Noah shot him a warning. Look, it's a fair question, Gregory said. The answer is complicated. I think part of me always feared I was wrong, but pride and stubbornness prevented me from investigating further. He met Jason's challenging gaze. The truth? I didn't deserve Elizabeth or Noah then. I'm not sure I deserve his generosity now. Jason seemed satisfied with this answer. Noah said you're starting a foundation? The conversation shifted to safer ground, the foundation's mission, Gregory's business background, Jason's studies in hospital administration. During dessert, Margaret excused herself to take a call, and Jason volunteered to help clear dishes, tactfully leaving father and son alone. Your friend is protective of you, Gregory observed. He's seen me through some rough times. Noah toyed with his water glass. After Mom died, I wasn't in a good place. Gregory's expression tightened with pain. I wish I'd known. I should have been there. You didn't know I existed, Noah reminded him. Because I chose not to know, Gregory corrected. Let's be clear about that. Noah studied his father, really looked at him. Beyond the wealth and power was a man confronting his mortality and his mistakes simultaneously. Why didn't you ever have other children? Noah asked suddenly. You remarried twice, according to the internet. Gregory's smile was humorless. Neither. Marriage lasted long. I told myself it was incompatibility, but the truth is I never let anyone close after Elizabeth. As for children, he shook his head. The doctors were quite clear about my infertility. Your existence was the miracle I refused to believe in. What changed? Noah pressed. Why now, when Mom is gone and I'm grown? Gregory considered the question. Terminal diagnosis has a way of clarifying priorities. I saw Elizabeth's obituary and felt hollow, like I'd lost my last chance at something precious without ever having reached for it. He leaned forward, eyes intense despite his fatigue. I didn't come looking for you expecting forgiveness or acceptance. I just needed to see the person who came from the best love I ever experienced and rejected. Noah felt a lump form in his throat. She loved you until the end, you know. Not romantically, but she never spoke of you with bitterness. She was extraordinary, that way. Gregory's voice roughened. Noah, there's something you should know. In my will, I don't want your money. Noah interrupted. I know. That's not what this is about. Gregory hesitated. When I started asking questions about Elizabeth, my investigators found something. Your maternal grandparents, Elizabeth's parents, they're still alive, living in England. Noah froze. That's not possible. Mom said they died when she was in college. They had a falling out when she married me. Her father disapproved of my background, my ambition. We eloped. Gregory looked pained. Elizabeth tried to reconcile when she learned she was pregnant with you, but they refused contact. I think she told you they were dead to spare you that rejection. Noah stood abruptly, moving to the window. Why tell me this now? Because they don't know Elizabeth is gone. They don't know you exist. Gregory's voice softened. Everyone deserves a chance to remedy their mistakes, Noah. Even them. When Noah turned back, his expression was complex. Anger, confusion, grief. Did you contact them? No. That decision belongs to you alone. Jason and Margaret returned, sensing the tension. Everything okay? Jason asked. Noah nodded tightly. Fine. We should go. Early rounds tomorrow. At the door, Noah paused. I need time to process this. Of course, Gregory agreed. Take all the time you need. Noah hesitated, then added quietly, Thank you for telling me the truth. As the elevator doors closed, Jason asked, What was that about? Apparently, Noah said, his voice carefully controlled. I have grandparents. Noah hadn't spoken to Gregory in a week. The revelation about his grandparents had reopened wounds he thought had healed, raising questions about his mother's life that could never be answered. He threw himself into his hospital rotation, staying late to review cases and spending free moments in the research library. It was there, surrounded by medical journals, that Sarah found him. You're avoiding him, she said without preamble, sliding into the chair opposite. Noah sighed, closing his laptop. Did he send you? Please. I'm not his messenger. Sarah's expression softened. But Jason called me. He's worried about you. I'm fine. No, you're not. You just discovered your mother kept a significant secret from you. That's not something you process while memorizing oncology protocols. Noah rubbed his eyes. She lied to me, Sarah, my whole life. She protected you, Sarah corrected gently. Elizabeth made peace with her parents' rejection. She didn't want you carrying that burden too. Did you know? Noah asked suddenly. Sarah nodded. I'm the one who suggested she tell you they were dead. It was cruel of them to cut her off when she needed them most. Noah absorbed this, torn between understanding his mother's decision and feeling betrayed by it. Gregory's condition is deteriorating, Sarah said after a moment. The chemo isn't working as well as they hoped. Noah's medical training translated this information instantly. Less time than expected. How do you know that? I checked his chart. At Noah's surprised look, she added, What? I'm a nurse. It's what we do. Noah almost smiled. That's an ethical violation? Sue me. Sarah reached across the table, taking his hand. Noah, I've spent 20 years disliking a man I never met because of how he hurt Elizabeth. But watching him now, there's genuine remorse there. I know, Noah admitted. That's what makes this complicated. Life usually is. Sarah squeezed his hand. Whatever you decide about your grandparents, don't waste the time you have with your father because you're angry about the past. After she left, Noah remained in the library, staring at his laptop screen without seeing it. Finally, he opened a new browser window and typed, William and Eleanor Palmer, Leeds, England. The search yielded a retired literature professor and his wife, now in their 70s. A recent newspaper article showed them at a community fundraiser, his grandmother's smile jarringly similar to his mother's. Noah closed the laptop and headed to the oncology ward. Gregory was asleep when Noah entered his hospital room, the harsh, fluorescent lights emphasizing his gaunt features. Cancer and chemotherapy had taken their toll. He looked years older than when they'd first met at the cemetery. Noah checked his father's chart, his trained eye noting the declining numbers, the adjusted medication dosages. The prognosis was clear. 3 months had become 1, perhaps less. Gregory stirred, eyes blinking open. Noah, he murmured, voice raspy. You came. How are you feeling? Noah asked, slipping into doctor mode. Like I've been poisoned by choice? Gregory attempted a smile. Better now that you're here. Noah sat beside the bed. I found them online, my grandparents. Gregory nodded weakly. Have you decided whether to contact them? Not yet. Noah hesitated. Would Mom have wanted me to? Elizabeth believed in second chances, Gregory said, even for those who don't deserve them. His meaningful look made it clear he included himself in that category. Like the one I'm giving you? Noah asked softly. A gift I treasure more than you know. Gregory's hand trembled as he reached for the water cup. Noah helped him, supporting his shoulders. I'm being discharged tomorrow, Gregory said once he'd taken a sip. Margaret's arranged for a nursing service at the hotel. Noah shook his head. Hotels aren't equipped for end-of-life care. The unvarnished words hung between them. The medical student's clinical assessment, the son's painful acknowledgement. I've been looking at hospice options, Gregory admitted. Noah made a decision then, one that surprised even himself. No. You're coming home with me. Gregory stared at him in disbelief. Noah, you don't have to. Jason's moving in with his girlfriend next week. We have the space. Noah's tone left no room for argument. It makes the most sense. I can monitor your condition, and we don't waste time with commuting for visits. The unspoken truth, that time was the one resource they couldn't afford to waste, resonated between them. Are you sure? Gregory asked, vulnerability naked in his expression. Noah nodded, surprising himself with his certainty. It's what Mom would have done. For the first time since they'd met, Gregory wept openly, turning his face away in an attempt to hide the tears. Noah pretended not to notice, adjusting IV lines with deliberate focus. Thank you, Gregory whispered when he'd regained composure. Noah simply nodded. Some gifts transcended words. Moving Gregory into Noah's apartment revealed the stark contrasts in their lives. Margaret supervised as medical equipment transformed the modest second bedroom, hospital bed, oxygen concentrator, IV stands, monitors. Gregory's few personal possessions looked out of place. Bespoke suits hanging in the closet, a leather portfolio of important documents, a single framed photo of a much younger Elizabeth. 20 years in Boston, and this is all you're bringing? Noah asked, helping Gregory settle into the bed. I've learned what matters, Gregory replied, his breathing labored from the short walk from the car. It's not much. Margaret hovered anxiously. Are you certain this arrangement will work? I could stay nearby. We'll be fine, Noah assured her. The home health nurse comes tomorrow to coordinate care. I have a light rotation this month. Gregory nodded to Margaret. Noah knows what he's doing. After she reluctantly departed, an awkward silence fell. Gregory was now in Noah's space, not just visiting his life, but becoming part of it. Are you hungry? Noah asked, defaulting to practicality. Not really. Side effects. Gregory gestured vaguely toward his abdomen. But you should eat, Noah ordered, delivery from the Thai place down the street. While waiting, he showed Gregory his mother's collection of photos displayed along the hallway. This was my 5th birthday, Noah explained, pointing to a picture of Elizabeth holding a small cake with a single candle. We couldn't afford 5, so Mom said this special one counted for all of them. Gregory absorbed these glimpses of the life he'd missed, quiet pain evident in his eyes. She kept a box of newspaper clippings about you, Noah continued. Every major milestone of Maddox Tech. She never showed me, but I found them after she died. She followed my career even after everything? Noah nodded. I think she wanted to make sure I could be proud of where I came from, even if you weren't. Part of our lives. The food arrived, breaking the moment. Noah ate while Gregory dozed, the medication making him drift in and out of consciousness. Later that evening, Noah found Gregory awake, struggling to reach his water glass. He helped him drink, the simple act of caregiving creating an unexpected intimacy. Thank you, Gregory said, for all of this. It's what medical students do. Practice for the real thing. Gregory shook his head weakly. We both know this is more than clinical practice. Noah adjusted the pillows, avoiding Gregory's gaze. I wrote to my grandparents, he said suddenly, after I found them online. A simple email introducing myself. What did they say? Nothing. Yet, maybe they think it's a scam. Noah shrugged, feigning indifference. Maybe they're not interested in a grandson any more than they were in a daughter. Gregory winced. I'm sorry. Perhaps I shouldn't have told you. No, you were right to. Tell me. Noah checked Gregory's IV. Professional detachment, a shield against vulnerability. I would have found out eventually when settling Mom's affairs. Noah, Gregory said hesitantly, there's something else you should know. About my company. What about it? I've named you my successor. Noah stared at him in disbelief. I don't want, I'm going to be a doctor, not a CEO. You can be both or neither. You can sell the company, maintain ownership, but hire management, donate everything to charity. Gregory's eyes were intense despite his weakened state. The point is, it's your choice. Your inheritance, your decision. Why would you do this? I've made it clear I don't want your money. Because it's yours by right, Gregory said simply, and because I trust you to use it wisely. You have Elizabeth's heart and moral compass. Noah had no response to this vote of confidence from a man who barely knew him. The board will follow Margaret's leadership until you're ready to make decisions, Gregory continued. No pressure, no expectations. Noah sank into the chair beside the bed, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Say you'll consider it. That's all I ask. Later, after helping Gregory with his evening medications, Noah retreated to the living room, mind reeling. The enormity of what Gregory had done, entrusting his life's work to a son he'd only just met, was incomprehensible. His phone chimed with an email notification. The sender's name made his heart stop. Eleanor Palmer. Dear Noah, it began, we received your message with shock and profound emotion. After decades of silence, to learn we have a grandson and that our beloved Elizabeth is gone, has left us reeling. If you're willing, we would very much like to speak with you. Noah stared at the screen, his world expanding and contracting simultaneously. In the other room, Gregory slept, while across an ocean, grandparents he'd never known reached. Out across years of absence, second chances, it seemed, came in waves. 2 weeks passed in a new routine. Noah balanced hospital rotations with caring for Gregory, whose condition deteriorated steadily. Home health nurses covered when Noah was at the hospital, but evenings belonged to them alone. These quiet hours brought conversations that bridged decades of absence. One night, as Noah adjusted Gregory's pain medication, his father asked about the email from Eleanor. We've video called twice, Noah admitted. They're nice, regretful. William, my grandfather, cried when he saw me. Said I have Mom's smile. Gregory nodded weakly. They were good people, just rigid in their beliefs. Your grandfather thought I wasn't good enough for Elizabeth. He was right. They're coming to Philadelphia next month, Noah continued. They want to visit Mom's grave, meet me properly. That's good, Gregory murmured, eyes drifting closed. Family matters. The irony of this statement from the man who had rejected, his own family wasn't lost on either of them. They asked about you, Noah said quietly. If you were still alive. If we'd reconnected. Gregory's eyes opened. What did you tell them? The truth. That you found me after Mom died. That you're sick. That you're here. Noah adjusted the blinds to block the setting sun from Gregory's face. They asked if they could see you too. Gregory seemed startled by this. After what I did to their daughter. Apparently they understand something about regret and second chances now. Noah's voice softened. Eleanor said life's too short for holding on to old grievances. She learned that when they lost Mom. A gentle knock interrupted them. Sarah entered, bringing homemade soup and fresh-baked bread. You look terrible, she told Noah bluntly. When's the last time you slept properly? I'm fine, he insisted. He's not, Gregory countered weakly. He was up 3 times last night checking my vitals. Sarah gave Noah a pointed look. Go. Sleep. I'll stay with your father. Noah hesitated, but exhaustion won out. Call if anything changes. When he woke hours later, the apartment was quiet. He found Sarah and Gregory in the living room, Sarah showing him photo albums. This was Noah's 8th grade science fair, she was saying. He built a working model of the circulatory system with pumps and dyed water. Elizabeth was so proud. Gregory studied the photos hungrily, absorbing these pieces of his son's life. You're awake, Sarah noted, seeing Noah in the doorway. Your father and I were reminiscing. Apparently I was a very serious child, Gregory said, a hint of humor in his tired voice. You still are, Noah replied, relieved to see Gregory out of bed, even if only in a wheelchair. Sarah departed after extracting promises from Noah to call, if needed. Left alone, father and son shared a simple dinner, Gregory managing a few spoonfuls of soup. The foundation paperwork is finalized, Gregory said. The board has approved the initial grants. Children's Hospital will receive the first one next month. Noah nodded. Dr. Chen mentioned it. They're planning a pediatric oncology research center with your funding. Our funding, Gregory corrected. Your name is on it too. Noah didn't argue, this time. He was learning to accept Gregory's need to include him, to build something lasting between them while time remained. There's something I'd like to try, Gregory said hesitantly. A treatment the doctors aren't optimistic about, but might buy a little more time. Noah immediately understood. You want to meet my grandparents? Gregory nodded. Is that selfish of me? To put my body through more just for a few extra weeks? It's human, Noah replied. And medically, there's always value in trying approved treatments, even with slim odds. What would Dr. Bennett advise? Gregory asked, using Noah's preferred professional name for the first time. The gesture wasn't lost on Noah. Dr. Bennett would present the options objectively and support the patient's informed choice. He paused. But as your son, I'd like more. Time too. Gregory reached for Noah's hand, his grip weaker than the day before but somehow more meaningful. When did this happen? He asked softly. When did you start thinking of yourself as my son? Noah considered the question. I'm not sure. Somewhere between hating you at the cemetery and bringing you home, I guess. I never deserved this chance. No. Noah agreed candidly. You didn't. But Mom always said forgiveness isn't about what people deserve. It's about what we choose to give. Outside, rain began to fall gentle against the windows. Father and son sat together in comfortable silence, the unspoken awareness of limited time making each moment precious. The experimental treatment bought Gregory precious time, but at a cost. Noah watched his father's strength wane even as his determination grew. Gregory now conducted business from his bed, Margaret visiting daily with documents requiring signatures, board members occasionally conferencing in. Noah marveled at his father's resilience. Between bouts of pain and exhaustion, Gregory remained lucid, focused on finalizing his affairs, particularly the Elizabeth Palmer Memorial Foundation. The first research grants have been approved, Gregory announced one evening, setting aside his tablet with shaking hands. 6 pediatric oncology projects focusing on quality of life improvements during treatment. Noah nodded approvingly. Mom would have loved that. She always said medical care should treat the whole person, not just the disease. She was ahead of her time, Gregory agreed. Noah, I need to ask you something important. The serious tone caught Noah's attention. What is it? Will you speak at my funeral? Gregory asked directly. You don't have to say anything kind, just something true. The request stunned Noah. Despite the obvious reality of Gregory's condition, they'd avoided directly discussing his death. Of course, Noah managed. But let's not rush things. Gregory's smile was gentle. We both know the timeline. The doctors give me weeks, not months. Before Noah could respond, his phone chimed with a message. He checked it, then looked up, with surprise. They're here. Who? My grandparents. Their flight landed early. They're on their way here now. Gregory's eyes widened. Now? I'm not prepared. He glanced down at his pajamas, his thinning hair, the medical equipment surrounding him. Noah recognized the fear beneath his father's concern, not just about his appearance, but about facing the parents of the woman he'd wronged so profoundly. I'll tell them to wait until tomorrow, Noah offered. Gregory shook his head. No. I've waited 20 years to apologize to them. I won't waste another day. 40 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Noah opened it to find William and Eleanor Palmer, his grandparents, looking travel-worn but eager. The moment was surreal. These strangers shared his blood, his mother's history. Noah, Eleanor breathed, reaching for him with trembling hands. Oh, you're so like her. The embrace was awkward but warming, breaking some invisible barrier. William shook Noah's hand firmly, emotion evident in his eyes. Thank you for contacting us, he said, voice gruff with feeling. We've missed so much. Gregory is in the bedroom, Noah explained, leading them inside. He's very weak but clear-minded. He wanted to see you right away. Eleanor paused, straightening her jacket. How do you feel about him, Noah? Truly? The directness of the question caught him off guard. It's complicated, he admitted. He abandoned Mom and me before I was born, but now... He searched for words. Now he's my father, and he's dying. We've found a kind of peace neither of us expected. William nodded thoughtfully. And Elizabeth? Would she have wanted this reconciliation? Mom believed in second chances, Noah said simply. She taught me that people can change, that forgiveness benefits the giver as much as the receiver. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. She learned that wisdom despite our terrible example. We were so wrong, Noah. So wrong about everything. The bedroom door opened slightly and Noah guided his grandparents inside. Gregory was propped up against pillows, having changed into a button-down shirt despite his weakness. His eyes met William's, decades of history hanging between them. Sir, Gregory said formally, using the respectful address from when he'd been a young man courting Elizabeth. Mrs. Palmer, thank you for coming. Eleanor moved to the bedside without hesitation, taking Gregory's frail hand in hers. We're the ones who should thank you, for finding Noah, for bringing our family together again. William remained at the foot of the bed, his expression complex. We lost our daughter twice, he said heavily. First when we rejected her choice, then when she died, never knowing we regretted our pride. She never stopped loving you, Gregory told them. She kept your photographs, told Noah stories about his grandparents in England. But she believed we were dead, William noted, pain evident. To protect Noah from rejection, Eleanor added softly. Just as she protected him from bitterness about you, Gregory. Noah watched. This unlikely reunion. These three people connected by their love for his mother and their regret for chances lost. Something Elizabeth had written in her journal came to mind. Time reveals truth. And truth offers healing, if we're brave enough to embrace it. The Palmers stayed in Philadelphia, taking a suite at the same hotel where Gregory had first lived after finding Noah. They visited daily, bringing with them stories of Elizabeth's childhood and photographs Noah had never seen. His mother, as a gap-toothed 7-year-old, as a serious teenager with a passion for science, as a young woman in nursing school. She was always helping neighborhood children, Eleanor recalled one afternoon as they all gathered in Noah's living room. Gregory was having a good day, sitting up in a wheelchair beside the window, bandaging scraped knees, explaining how the body heals itself. We should have known she'd become a nurse. She was the best, Noah said quietly. The patients at her clinic still leave flowers at her grave. William, who had been the most reserved, finally asked the question that had clearly been troubling him. Gregory, why did you doubt her when she told you about the pregnancy? Didn't you trust her? The room grew still. Gregory's gaunt face tightened with pain that had nothing to do with his illness. I trusted no one, he admitted. My father taught me that vulnerability was weakness, that people would always disappoint you given the chance. His eyes met Noah's. The doctors had been definitive about my infertility. When Elizabeth told me she was pregnant, my father's voice in my head said she was lying, using me. So you threw her out, William stated, not accusingly but seeking understanding. I offered her money to disappear, Gregory corrected, shame evident. She tore up the check in front of me, said our child deserved better. His voice broke. She was right. Eleanor reached across to touch his hand. We all failed her in different ways. You through distrust, us through rigid pride. But we can't fail him, William added, nodding toward Noah. Not again. The conversation shifted to practical matters, the Foundation's progress, Noah's medical career, the Palmers' hope that he might visit them in England someday. Later, after his grandparents had left and Noah was helping Gregory back to bed, his father spoke quietly. I've been thinking about what happens after. Noah adjusted the oxygen line. After what? After I'm gone. Gregory held his gaze steadily. I want you to use some of the inheritance to establish a program at the hospital, something for single parents seeking medical education. Scholarships, childcare assistance, housing subsidies. Noah was touched by how perfectly this captured his mother's struggle. That's a wonderful idea. Elizabeth did something extraordinary, raising you alone while pursuing her career. That deserves recognition. Gregory settled against the pillows, exhaustion evident. I've discussed it with the foundation board. They're enthusiastic. Noah checked the medication schedule. Time for your pain meds. Not yet, Gregory requested. I need clarity for this conversation. Reluctantly, Noah set aside the medicine. You should rest. There will be plenty of time for that soon enough. Gregory's attempt at humor fell flat. Noah, I need you to know something. These weeks with you, having you welcome me into your home, your life, it's more than I deserved. Dad, Noah began, the words still new on his tongue. Please let me finish while I have the strength. Gregory drew a labored breath. I lived most of my life believing success meant wealth, power, buildings with my name on them. I was wrong. True success is what Elizabeth achieved, raising a child with compassion, integrity, and courage. A child who grew into a man capable of forgiveness. Noah felt his throat tighten. She did all the work. Yes, she did, Gregory agreed, and I will always regret missing it. But I'm grateful beyond words that I didn't miss this, knowing you even briefly. The monitor beside the bed showed Gregory's declining oxygen levels. Noah reached for the medication. You need this now. This time, Gregory didn't protest. As the medicine took effect, easing his pain and making his eyelids heavy, he murmured, I wish I could have seen you become Dr. Bennett. You'll be extraordinary. I'll tell you all about my first day, Noah promised, though they both knew it was unlikely. That night, Noah sat at his kitchen table with his grandparents, planning what none of them wanted to acknowledge was imminent. We'd like to extend our stay, William said, to be here for after. And for you, Eleanor added, covering Noah's hand with hers. We've only just found you. We don't want to leave you alone. Noah looked at these people who had entered his life so suddenly, filling spaces he hadn't known were empty. Thank you, he said simply. I'd like that. In the bedroom, Gregory slept fitfully, his breath increasingly labored. Noah checked on him hourly, each time fearing it might be the last. But his father held on as if waiting for something or someone to grant him final peace. Gregory Maddox died on a quiet Tuesday morning, with Noah holding his hand. In his final moments, he opened his eyes with surprising clarity and whispered, Thank you for letting me be your father, even briefly. The funeral was held 3 days later, a small private service rather than the grand corporate affair that might have been expected for someone of Gregory's stature. Noah insisted on this intimacy, knowing his father had found true connection only at the end. As requested, Noah spoke. He stood before the small gathering, Margaret, Sarah, Jason, his grandparents, and a handful of Gregory's most loyal executives, searching for the truth his father had asked for. I met Gregory Maddox just 8 weeks ago, he began. Most of you knew him longer, some for decades. But the man I came to know wasn't the corporate titan or the ruthless businessman from magazine profiles. He was simply my father, trying desperately to make amends for 20 years of absence. Noah paused, gathering his thoughts. Our relationship began with anger, mine, and regret, his. It ends with something I never expected. Peace. Gregory taught me that it's never too late to acknowledge mistakes, to seek forgiveness, to try to make things right. He didn't have to search for me after my mother died. He chose to, knowing I might reject him completely. William and Eleanor sat in the front row, hands clasped tightly. Eleanor wiped away tears as Noah continued. In these final weeks, Gregory showed more courage facing his failures than many show in a lifetime of successes. He didn't just say he was sorry. He lived his remorse by supporting what mattered to me, by honoring my mother's memory, by respecting who I am rather than trying to make me who he wanted me to be. Noah looked at the simple casket, adorned only with lilies. My mother Elizabeth believed that a life should be measured by its kindness, not its acquisitions. By that measure, Gregory may have faltered for many years, but he finished well. In the end, he gave me something beyond wealth or position. He gave me the truth, painful as it was, and the freedom to decide what to do with it. After the service, they gathered at Elizabeth's grave where Gregory would be buried beside her, a reunion decades delayed. As the casket was lowered, Noah placed a single wildflower atop it, remembering his father's story about the meadow upstate. She would have appreciated the symmetry, Eleanor said softly, standing beside Noah. Both of them together at last. I think so too, Noah agreed. In the days that followed, Noah found himself the sole heir to a fortune he had never sought, and a company he had never intended to run. With Margaret's guidance and his grandparents' support, he made his first executive decision, transforming a wing of Philadelphia Children's Hospital into the Elizabeth Palmer Center for Pediatric Care. 1 month after the funeral, Noah stood before the gathered press, hospital administrators, and foundation board members to announce the center's mission. This facility will pioneer an integrated approach to pediatric care, he explained, where medical treatment is paired with emotional support, where families receive resources to navigate difficult journeys, and where every child is treated with dignity regardless of their prognosis. Afterward, as the crowd dispersed, Noah visited the newly installed plaque in the hospital lobby. It bore 2 names, Elizabeth Palmer and Gregory Maddox. Beneath them, a simple inscription, "Second chances begin with forgiveness." That evening, Noah sat in his apartment, quieter now without the medical equipment, emptier without Gregory's presence, and opened his mother's final journal. He reread her words about hoping he might someday know his father. On the last page, he wrote his own entry. "Mom, I met him. You were right. There was good in him. Buried beneath years of self-protection, he learned to love too late to love you, properly but just in time to love me. I think you would have forgiven him. I know I have. Your parents send their love. They're returning to England next week, but I'm visiting for Christmas. They're sharing stories about you I never knew. In their grief, they've become the grandparents you always wanted for me. The foundation is helping children like Emma. The center will open next spring. Your legacy lives on in ways I never imagined. Thank you for teaching me that forgiveness isn't weakness, it's the ultimate strength." Gregory understood that finally at the end. Your son always, Noah.